But a lot of this is rooted in our obsession with home ownership, particularly in the United States in particular. Home ownership from 1900 to the beginning of World War II hovered in the vicinity of the mid-40% percentile range. 45% of people in the United States typically owned homes. After World War II, that increased to about 60% for various policy reasons associated with mortgage deductibility and a desire on the part of the government to reward veterans, make it easier for them to get into the housing market. And what did veterans and everyone else do after World War II? They celebrated, and they had lots of kids. Okay? So consequently, home ownership by decade, now keep in mind, these are trend decades, and we created this graph on purpose just to show you that what the trend is in the United States since 1900 is 45% jumping to about 60 and then 65% over the last 100 years. But here is the year-by-year recent trend. 64% from 1960 to the early 1990s, jumping up to a way out of band trend of ownership rate of 69%. Huge increase. How? New instruments, subprime mortgages. How did the housing industry respond? Housing starts. You know, this chart is interesting. Look at some of those starts. Look at back in the 1970s. Housing starts were up in the vicinity of 2.5 million units per year. That is supported by mortgage data. That's supported by baby boom data. The volatility over the course of 1970 to about 1990 can be explained largely in financial terms, affordability issues, prices, interest rates, et cetera. Look what happened as a short time ago as 2006, 2007. Housing starts hit 2.3 million units in 2007. You know what they were the last month? Data just came out today. 309,000. 309,000. Because 2.3 million was way out of the range of what the demography fueled. Now at this time, because of all this activity, wealth effect, new products, continued spending, the Fed starts to try to cool the economy off with raising interest rates beginning in 2004. Too late. Too late. So the party ended in 2007, finally. The key, on the left-hand side, dark green bars. There's your subprime resets. They began within a high interest rate environment. So consequently, your mortgage just skyrocketed when they reset. The monthly payments just exploded. But that's not the only issue. The issue is there's more to come. There's more trouble to come. And that's this second area, the taupe-colored area that the red arrow refers to. And no one's talking about that. And look at the size of those. Just as big, if not bigger in volume. And those will all be resetting in 2010 and 2011. They're to come. The story here is we're not even in the eye of the storm yet. So the big slide has a long way to go. New home sales, this is all latest data, by the way, as of January. Case-Shiller index of new home prices on its way down. And people often ask, when is this going to turn around? When's housing coming back? Well, here's one answer to ponder. In Japan, it took 14 years to turn around. When Japan's housing prices fell in 1988, it took 14 years before that bottomed out. Now, if you do the demographic arithmetic in the next graph, you'll quickly see that that's pretty much the story here. So when I hear on the news, when's housing coming back? You think it's going to come back late this year or next year? No. Housing's not coming back. It's not coming back in our lifetime to the way we know it. And that graph is the reason why. And you can see that the fertility rate has declined steadily from 1800 to 1940, 1942. Didn't start picking up until 1946. And what's happened since 1964, when it bottomed out? That's the end of the baby boom. Okay, now you take that arithmetic, translate it right through into housing, and you can see that we are way, way overbuilt. And the party won't resume unless our kids plan on it. The average, would you see what the average family size was? You know, at the peak? You know, it was over four kids. I usually tell people when we discuss housing, I said, the conversation's over, there's not much to debate. All the arithmetic feeds right through. It's going to be years before housing comes back. And unless our kids have a lot of kids, housing is not going to come back in our lifetime. So no more will housing be considered an investment.